What is up, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of the Ride of Your Life podcast. We have one more episode to go this week. I thought it'd be fun to do a Q&A, and next week, as we'll talk about in announcements later on, is our final episode of Season 3. And it's been a fun one. We had some amazing guests, and we're excited for what's ahead for season 4, which is what we're going to talk about next week. But this week is our Q&A, so thank you to everyone who submitted questions. It's fun looking over these, and it's going to be interesting to see some of these answers. So I don't want to further delay this episode, so let's go ahead and hop right in. So go ahead and buckle up, because here we go. As I stated in the opening, thank you to everyone who submitted questions for this week's episode's Q&A. I'm excited to answer these. We got some really good ones, and we got quite a bit. So let's hop right in because, like I said, we got quite a bit here. So I got some Q&As, and I got some top fives that were submitted. So let's go ahead and start with some Q&A. Actually, let's start with start with some top fives. Let's do that because these I have answers written down for, because I think that's easiest instead of thinking of five things off the top of your head. I think it's easier to give an answer to a question than it is to give a top five. So uh, let's go ahead and jump right in here. Some of these, I will admit, are not five. There's not five for some of these, and either it's because it was hard finding five things, narrowing it down to five things, or just thinking of five things. So the first one here is top five podcasts. So my top five podcasts are Coaster Radio. So it's Mike and EB. I love that podcast there, covering all things coasters, theme parks, all that good stuff. These guys are awesome. So Coaster Radio is one of my favorite, and none of these are in order. I'll tell you that now. None of these are in a certain order. It's just five things. I'm giving you five for these topics. So Coaster Radio, For Your Amusement. That's a fun podcast where they talk about a certain attraction. They have a guest on. The guest gets to pick the attraction they talk about, and they ultimately rank and score the attraction that's been given. So recently, they covered Fast and the Furious at Universal Orlando, and if you've ridden that ride, it's terrible. It is very terrible. And they just talked about the ride, the history of the ride, and then gave a score. And as you could imagine, it was not a good score. So that's For Your Amusement. It's just a funny show, just fun one, an interesting one as well. Like I said, they give facts about the ride and the history of the ride. So Coaster Radio, For Your Amusement. And then I do enjoy some news, some conservative news. So I listen to the Daily Wire shows. So like Matt Walsh, Brett Cooper, Michael Knowles. I enjoy listening to those because I get sick and tired of watching the news. I do not watch the news at all. It's just depressing. But I truly believe the Daily Wire covers it in a very non-biased way, and they just lay out the facts for what it is, and they do have it. They do have a twist with it. Like, they do have fun with presenting the news, so it makes horrible news kind of funny sometimes. So, but they present facts and just lay out the news, like I said. So the Daily Wire is one of those that I listen to a lot, and I couldn't pick just one of those, so I said Matt Walsh, Brett Cooper, and Michael Knowles for those. Another good one is Allie Beth Stuckey. Again, just lays out the news and just what's going on with Christian culture. She's an amazing speaker, and she again just lays out the facts as they are. and with a biblical perspective. I love that. So Allie Beth Stuckey. And then the last one, my fifth one here, and again, no particular order, but I enjoy theme park stop podcast. The Park Stop podcast. So theme Park Stop is Alicia Stella. She covers all things, particularly Universal. She does a lot with Universal. She does Disney every now and then, but um, she is the one that gets the patents for rides, gets trademarks. She dives deep into what's coming up in Universal. Sometimes she breaks information before Universal does, which is, as you know, Universal likes to hold off on their announcements, unlike another park down the street with a mouse running the whole joint. Um, but she does an awesome job. I enjoy listening to her podcast and watching her videos. So that's Park Stop for the fifth podcast. The next top 5 list here is top 5 attractions that are not theme parks. And this was a hard one because I had to really think about where have I gone that's not a theme park or an amusement park or something like that. The first one that came to mind instantly was the Billy Graham Library. We went there during our trip to the Carolinas. Such an amazing place. And like I've said in that trip report, trip review episode we did, it's a must. If you're going to Carowinds, stop by the Billy Graham Library for a day. It is free, just to enjoy and walk around, and just a bunch of rich history of who Billy Graham was, and then most importantly, what his mission was, and that was to share the gospel with folks. So, Billy Graham Library is at the top of my attractions list there. Then, of course, the Creation Museum and Ark Encounter. So I'm counting those as individual ones because this was hard. As I stated, it's hard to find uh, at least 5 for these. So, Creation Museum and Ark Encounter. We love Answers in Genesis, and a little teaser for season 4 of the podcast. We are having another guest from Answers in Genesis, and I'll tell you who that is next week on the podcast. It's going to be a fun one, and she has a relation to someone that was on the podcast this season. That's all I'm going to say. So stay tuned for that. But I love Creation Museum and Ark Encounter, just first class attractions, and they do it well done and just they do it top notch while presenting the gospel to it. The island at Pigeon Forge. I love the island. Just nice to walk around there, especially in the evening. Get on the Ferris wheel there and just see all of Pigeon Forge. It's beautiful. So we love the island. And of course, I got to give a shout out to Paula Dean's, our favorite restaurant down there. We love Paula Dean's, and that's at the island. So we love the island. And then, of course, I cannot talk about an attractions list without talking about this one. It is Buc-ee's. I am a Buc-ee's connoisseur, not to the extent of others, but I love me some Buc-ee's. Whenever I see one on the map, I have to stop at one. But I'm not going out of my way for a Buc-ee's. So, bless the beaver, bless the beaver. All right, moving along. And if I sound like I'm very tired, I am very tired because we were at the park yesterday for the meetup, which, by the way, thank you to everyone who attended the meetup. It was a great day. It was a very hot day, but praise the Lord for the wind and just the cooling of the air. It was great. But we had a great time there, so shout out to everyone that was there, and stay tuned for our next meetup in October if you weren't able to make it. And if you did make it, we'd love to see you there as well. But moving along, our next one here is top 5 Christian artists. So my top 5 are Jeremy Camp, Mac Powell, Casting Crowns, Toby Mac, and an artist you may not know. His name is Joseph Habedank. He's a what many would consider like a Southern gospel artist, but he has a very contemporary sound to him. He's awesome, and he's got an amazing story. He's one of those guys I want to get on the podcast eventually. I've reached out to him. Haven't heard back yet, but in due time we shall see there. But those guys are all amazing. Check them out. Check them all out. Next here is top 5 B&M coasters. I'm going to go ahead and tell you which ones I've ridden. And then after that, I will break down which 5 I actually enjoyed and love. So the ones I've been on are Kraken, Rigaroo, Manta, Diamondback, Fury325, Mako, Orion, Intimidator, Raptor, Great Bear, Afterburn, Banshee, The Incredible Hulk, Vortex at Carowinds, you know how I feel about that, Wild Eagle, Gatekeeper, and Thunderbird. Uh, I will say this: narrowing down the list was quite easy for some of these, but when I got down to a few, like the last remaining few, it was hard to narrow it down just to five. So what I did, I narrowed it down per coaster type, coaster model, and I did end up putting two of one type, whatever. But my top five B&M coasters are Gatekeeper, Fury325, Rougarou, Banshee, and Thunderbird. As you can tell, I love a good wing coaster there, so I have two on my list. So Gatekeeper and Thunderbird are just amazing coasters. I love them, and it's different than anything else we've ridden. Um, I'm I know we're going to be having more B&Ms added to our list this year, um, with Hershey Park and Donnie, and trying to think where else we're going. I know this for sure, but yeah. So that's my top five B&M coasters. Next is wooden roller coasters, and if you know me, I am not a fan of wooden roller coasters. Uh, I just don't like them. They're too rough. When I ride a coaster, I want to enjoy it without any pain. But yeah, there are a few that stick out to me. I was debating, do I want to include RMC? Do I not? So I ended up with including RMC. So my top five wooden roller coasters are Mystic Timbers, The Voyage, Storm Chaser, Steve, and Thunderhead. So I love all those rides, and of course, I love a good RMC. And I cannot wait to experience um, Wildcats Revenge here soon. So yeah, that's my top five wooden roller coasters. Next is top five concerts I've been to, and this is almost like a hobby for Kenzie and I. We love going to concerts and all that. Um, some of the highlight top concerts we've been to, just some highlights that just stick out, that we loved. Uh, I can tell you this is my number one concert I've ever been to, and it's going to have to take another concert to knock this one out of number one. It has to be like better than this to knock this off number one. But it was a concert we went to with Jeremy Camp and Katie Nicole. This still is probably the best concert I've ever been to. Just you could feel the presence of the Lord there. It was just a night of worship. Um, yeah, Jeremy Camp's an amazing artist. Again, with that top five Christian artist lists I had, this is one you have to listen to. And I will say this too. I don't know if I probably have mentioned it on another episode, but Jeremy Camp's latest CD, Deeper Waters, is probably one of my favorite albums of all time, because I've said this to many people who've asked me about it, my thoughts about it. It's rare that I find a CD that I like every single song on it. And this CD, I love every single song of it. I will not skip any song on here. Um, so definitely check out Deeper Waters, Jeremy Camp's latest album. Amazing one. Can't beat it. Unless there's another album that's just like, I cannot skip any song on here. But another concert. And the rest of these will just be in no particular order. I just love them. Um, it was a concert, is a recent tour with Casting Crowns, Kane, and Ann Wilson. Phenomenal night of worship, especially with Casting Crowns. Those guys are just amazing. They pull all their songs from Scripture, and I love that. Um, it's rare to find an artist that does that, and I mean like straight up, like Mark Hall has said in his at the concerts, like all of these songs that we write are basically from uh, lessons I've done with our youth ministry. I take the lessons that we talk about and I preach, and I turn them into songs. So it's straight from scripture. And if you've ever been to a Casting Crowns concert, on the screen behind them while they're singing, they just list off verses that inspired that song. And it's I love Casting Crowns just for that very fact that they keep God at the center of their music and they're there to worship the Lord. I've never seen another artist that does what they do. So, Casting Crowns and Kane and Ann Wilson were a good concert. Another one that is another highlight is Mac Powell and Friends. Recently, Kinsey and I went to a Mac Powell and Friends concert. Um, it was Mac Powell, Jordan St. Cyr, Rhett Walker, and I'm gonna have to cheat here real quick and look at this poster I have in my office. Who was the other artist? Brandon Heath. It was Brandon Heath. Um, yeah, he doesn't stick out much, but he's got some good songs. But Mac Powell, Jordan St. Cyr, Rhett Walker, some of my favorite artists. I love those guys and just their hearts for the Lord and to share the good news of the gospel through their music. So Mac Powell and Friends was a great concert. A Sidewalk Prophets Christmas. I'll tell you this. This is probably the coolest Christmas concert I've ever been to. And if you've never heard the Sidewalk Prophets Great Big Family Christmas album, you have to listen to it this Christmas season. Not suggesting it now because you have to wait. Gotta wait till after Thanksgiving for the Christmas music. You could decorate before Thanksgiving, but you just can't listen to the music afterward. Yeah. But if you have the chance to see a Sidewalk Prophets Christmas, go see it. If it's in a town near you, go see it. It's a fun night, just worshiping the Lord, and just a great time of just celebrating the birth of our Savior. So Sidewalk Prophets Christmas, and definitely check out their Christmas album this Christmas season. And then Spirit Song 2018, I always bring this up, just special because that was one of Kinsey and I's first dates, and it just sticks out so much. So it was for King Country, Trala, Zach Williams, Crowder, and John Christ. It was a great concert there, and that's just another one that sticks out to me a lot. So that was top 5 concerts. Top 5 parks I visited, and I visited at least. I'm going to cheat here and look at my list real quick. I have a full list. I just took the top 5 out of that list. Let's see here. Top 5 parks I've been to. I've been to 14 parks, and out of those, I've had to condense 2 answers down to 1 because it's technically it's the same property, whatever. Resort. That's the word, resort. So, number 1, and this is in a particular order. So, unlike the other ones we've done so far, this is in a particular order. So, number 1 park I've been to so far is Dollywood. I love Dollywood, and just it feels like home away from home. The people that work there are just top notch, phenomenal people there to help you. And the food's phenomenal. The coaster lineup is just great, and attraction lineup is just great. So we love Dollywood, just what the park stands for. We love Hersham, and this might be knocked down to number 2 later this year when we go to Silver Dollar City, which has been voted the number 1 park in America. So we're excited to experience Silver Dollar City, but for the meantime, Dollywood's number 1. Number 2, this is the one I condensed to 1. It is Universal Orlando Resort. It is hard to pick which one I like more because each of them offer something that I love about it. I just love the aesthetic and the feel of the studios, but I love the attractions over in Islands. So I'm just combining those to 1. And I love Universal Orlando Resort as my second one on there. Number 3 is Cedar Point. I love Cedar Point. Just great coaster lineup. And yeah, what's not to love about Cedar Point other than the lawn ornament sticking out like a sore thumb in the middle of the park. Sorry, had to do it. Yeah. Actually, it looks like I did these separately. So, Dollywood, Islands of Adventure Studios are the first three. Four is Cedar Point, and then five is Holiday World. That may surprise a lot of you if the parks we've been to. Um, I like Holiday World just because it's a family-owned park, and it just had a family vibe to it. Again, the workers were really nice. The park was clean. Um, so yeah, I enjoyed Holiday World, and I love Thunderbird. I'm excited to try out Good Gravy. I love the Voyage, and it's just a good experience, good food, just atmosphere. Everything is great, and just the theme of it's so unique of holidays. I love it. I love holidays. So yeah, and then I'll go ahead and share the rest of the parks that we've been to in their rankings. So number 6 is Kings Island. Carowinds is number 7. Hershey Park is 8. Kentucky Kingdom is 9. Epcot is 10. Magic Kingdom is 11. Animal Kingdom is 12. Hollywood Studios is 13, and SeaWorld Orlando is 14. And like I said, we got a few more parks we're visiting this year, so this list will more than likely change. I know it will, but I don't know how drastically it will. Well, I think everything's going to shift down with Silver Dollar City. I don't know. We'll find out. So, yeah. That was my top 5 parks, along with the rest of my rankings of parks. And this next one is a hard one because I love movies. I love all those. I love classic movies, especially from the 80s. So my top 5 movies actually turned into a top 3 because after these 3, it just gets hard. Actually, I could throw in one real quick here. I'm going to give me a 4th one. Let me type it in because I'm looking off my iPad for these answers. All right, there we go. All right, so my top 4 movies, because after the 4th one, it's hard to pick from there. Number 1. Actually, I'm going to start with number 4. We're going to start with 4 and work our way up to number 1. Number 4 is The Lion King, the original 90s version, because the new one sucks. I'm just going to flat out say it's terrible. I do not like the live action one, or the quote-unquote live action one, which is just animated with CGI. I do not like the new one, but the original is such a classic. The music is great. It was just back when Disney was original. I love it. So Lion King is my number 4 movie of all time. I wouldn't say of all time. It's one of my top movies. So Lion King. 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy. I love that movie. We love that movie so much we named our dog Groot. And I think he just heard his name. So we love Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 2 is Toy Story. That's been a movie I've known and loved my entire life, literally. I am the same age as Toy Story. So Toy Story will be 30 years old next year, and I am sadly going to be 30 years old next year. We're a few months apart, so we love Toy Story. I love Toy Story. Just, I love it. I love Toy Story. Just, yeah. But my all-time favorite movie of all time, I will say this, is Back to the Future. That is my all-time favorite movie. If I had to watch one movie for the rest of my life, it's Back to the Future. Honestly, the whole franchise. I love the Back to the Future franchise. It's just probably, honestly, it's one of the best movies ever made. It's a cinematic classic. It's, when you think of a nostalgic movie, especially from the 80s, it is Back to the Future. The music is great. And that's the thing with all these here. Toy Story, it has music, but Guardians, Back to the Future, and Lion King has some of the best movie music ever. Best soundtracks out there. And I want to debate that. If you think there's a movie with a better soundtrack than any of those, let me know. I may agree, I may disagree, but honestly, those three movies there have some of the best soundtracks out there. And of course, there's you've got a friend of me. You've got a friend of me. But Back to the Future, Guardians, Lion King, Chef's Kiss to the soundtracks, amazing. All right, next is top 5 ice cream flavors. So, a lot of these are local to me. So my top 5 favorite ice creams are Kroger, red, white, and blue ice cream. It tastes like a stinking bomb pop. I love those things. Then we have UDF, United Dairy Farmers. Um, Santa's ice cream or Santa's cookies. It's awesome. It's I can't even describe it. It's just so good. It's like, yeah. Um, Creamsicle. I love me orange creamsicle. Um, the Smurf cone from Kings Island, and then the s'mores ice cream from Grater's Ice Cream. I'm just going to roll through these so we can get to the questions, because I have a feeling I'm just like going into more detail than I should with these top 5s. I'm justifying why I have them, but top 5 bucket lists in the U.S. Epic destination. You now you know where we got the name from. Epic Universe. I am excited to go to Epic Universe. That's one of my top 5 U.S. bucket lists. So Epic Universe. Silver Dollar City, which is coming up, is still on the bucket list because that trip could fall through, but still on bucket list. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Canada's Wonderland, and Universal Studios Hollywood. Those are my, I should say, North American top 5 bucket list parks. International, I would love to visit Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, Warner Brothers Movie World, Shanghai Disney, and Universal Japan. Those are my bucket list parks. Top 5 random facts about myself. I was almost an extra in Unsung Hero. I was offered or given a chance to be a part of it, but I wasn't picked in like the, I guess, narrowing down of extras. But I was invited. They gave me an email. I don't know how in the world they got my email. I'm pretty sure it was just from buying tickets to uh, one of the For King Country concerts. And they were filming a lot in Kentucky. Fun fact: a lot of the movie was filmed in Kentucky. So I had the opportunity to be a part of it, but I just wasn't selected in like the narrowing down process. So I was almost an extra and unsung hero. I've been in 2 commercials that have aired in Cincinnati. One for my aunt's store, reruns for Wee Ones. It's in Fairfield. I was in that as a kid, and then as a high schooler, I was in a commercial for my trade school. It was a college type program. It's one of those technical schools. It was Butler Tech. Shout out to Butler Tech, 10-year anniversary coming up here soon for that. So, been 2 commercials, one for Reruns for Wee Ones and then one for Butler Tech. Another interesting fact about myself, and random fact, is I've broken an arm. I broke my right arm while on vacation to Disney by falling off a bunk bed. Long story short, it was pitch black in our hotel room. I was on the top bunk. I needed to use the restroom. I fell off. Didn't know I fell off. Yeah, so I broke an arm while on a Disney vacation. So magical. Another fact about me is my favorite job I've worked was at a movie theater. It's so much fun. We got to see movies before they came out. When the theater closed in the evening, we got to do games on the screen. That was awesome. We got to do Mario Kart on the big screen. It was stinking awesome. And then the last one here is I collect board games and pop Funkos. That's another random fact about me. Uh, this could be a whole episode of itself. Top 5 pieces of advice for dating couples. First and foremost, keep God number 1 in your relationship, and that should be with all relationships. Just keep God number 1. Keep Him in the center and forefront of all relationships in life, because at the end of the day, God is the most important piece of our life. because without him, we are nothing. And yeah, so keep God number one. Number two, set up boundaries for yourself. Um, when you don't have boundaries, you're tempted to fall into sin. And just set up boundaries for yourself. Don't be alone. Don't, especially at a house, don't be alone at a house or whatever. But just be accountable in that area of your relationship. Set up boundaries and standards for yourself because you will not regret it. Trust me. The third bit of advice is don't get rid of your friends for your significant other. I've seen numerous people who will prioritize their significant other over their friends. Don't get rid of your friends for your significant other. If they can't support you and your friends, they're probably not the one for you because it's not good to have someone who's very self-centered and clingy. Um, so find a significant other that will allow you to have time with your friends and enjoy life. Uh, yeah. So look for someone who will support you and your friends. Uh, so yeah, and then date with an intention of being married. Date with the intention of being married. Don't just date to date. Date with a purpose. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. Don't just date to say you have a boyfriend or girlfriend. Don't do it. It's pointless. Uh, you you're better off going through life single than just saying you are with a boyfriend or girlfriend. It's pointless. So date with the intention of finding the one that God has for you to be a spouse, and then just be honest and open with um, your significant other. That's my fifth piece of advice there for couples: is be honest, be open, and don't just put on a fake smile. Be honest and open, and communication is key. So I guess that'd be my sixth piece of advice there is communication is key. In order for a relationship to work, just as I say with the gospel, with reading and studying God's word and praying, the best form of communication is just being honest and talking. And it's okay to text, it's okay to do all that, but talking verbally is best form of communication that helps you grow and helps you understand your significant other. So that's my bit of advice. Like I said, that could end up being a whole episode of itself later down the line. We'll see as the Lord leads. This one was submitted. There's three because y'all nasty. It is top theme park bathrooms. There's only a few that have. It's weird saying it stuck out to me. The cleanest things I've ever seen outside of Buc-ee's are Dollywood, Holiday World, and Carowinds. That's weird. Anyways, we're moving on. Top 5 theme park restaurants: Rivertown Brewhouse at Kings Island, Pigpen's Mess Hall at Kings Island, Cosmic Rays at Disney's Magic Kingdom, the Alamo at Holiday World, and NBC Sports Grill at Universal Orlando Resort. I love those, and I could go into detail of what I love for those places, but ain't nobody got time for that. Top 5 park snacks. Of course, I can't go wrong without a good Smurf cone, a blue ice cream from Kings Island, or a blue shake from Kings Island. Good stuff. The s'mores brownie at Kings Island over at Pigpen's Mess Hall is so good. A little rich on the chocolate, but it's so nice to have the graham cracker and the marshmallow there as well. So s'mores brownie, and then a Toothsome Chocolate Factory shake. Those are always good too if you're at Universal. A frozen butterbeer at Universal is always good as well, and a candy corn cone from good old Holiday World. And top YouTubers. This one will be the second to last one I'm going to do here. So, top YouTubers of mine: Kevin Heimbuck. Adventure is out there. Our friends down in Tennessee. We love Ryan and Bree. Just check them out. definitely check out Kevin too if you want some funny videos, but informal and very honest reviews. That's how I'll put it. Sir Willow, good friend of our podcast, good friend of ours. Check out his stuff if you want a good laugh and just some information on what it's like to be a theme park worker. And our good friends at Abby's over at Extreme Thrills. We love Abby Family Adventures and we love Extreme Thrills. We love those guys. Check them out if you haven't already. And again, Theme Park Stop. I want to give them a shout out as well. If you're looking for breaking news before it breaks, check out Theme Park Stop with Alicia Stella. Good stuff there. So that's our YouTubers. And top 5 best night rides at the parks. The parks I've been to, I think these are the best night rides you can ride. One of them may surprise you, but is very underrated. It's an underrated night ride. So number 1 is Fury 325. Number 2 is Orion. No, not Orion. That's number 3. Number 2 is Adventure Express at Kings Island. Definitely ride Adventure Express at night. That's probably one of the best night rides there. So underrated, but it's so much fun at night. Number 3 is Orion. So it's close enough to Fury 325. The closest thing I'll be riding it a lot. So Orion's a good night ride. The Beast, of course, if you get a middle seat in each car, yeah, it's a fun time. And then Banshee. I love Banshee at Kings Island. Awesome night rides there as well. All right, let's move on over to the questions after this break from Lodge Lovers. Are you a thrill seeker looking for the perfect place to rest your head after a day filled with excitement? Look no further than Lodge Lovers, the trusted and recommended lodging provider of Rive Your Life Ministries. Whether you're planning for your next coaster trip, vacation getaway, or adventurous expedition, Lodge Lovers has you covered. With a wide range of rental prices to suit every budget, you can find the perfect accommodation for your needs. As a faith-based company, Lodge Lovers is committed to providing comfortable and welcoming lodging for all sorts of trips and adventures. Plus, when you book with Lodge Lovers, you're not just booking a place to stay, you're making a difference. That's right, Lodge Lovers is proud to donate 2.5% of all bookings to help Ride of Your Life Ministries. And you can rest easy knowing your stay is not just enriching your experience, but also contributing to a great cause of reaching those who need the gospel of Jesus Christ. For your next unforgettable adventure, choose Lodge Lovers. Book now and experience the perfect blend of comfort, convenience, and compassion. Visit our website, riveyourlifeministries.com, to learn more and to reserve your stay today with Lodge Lovers. All right, and we are back. Had to take a little water break there, as we all should do this week, especially if you're in some of these states that are peaking the heat levels. So make sure you're staying hydrated there, as I am right here, with water and a nice cold thing of lemonade as well. So let's go ahead and jump into some of these questions here. The first one was, do you consider some parks to be more Christian friendly than others? And the answer is yes. This question was submitted earlier in the week, so I had some time to think about it and process it. But yes, I do. I do think there are some Christian friendly parks. I'll start off by saying there are some parks that are family friendly, and those are ones that are family owned more than likely. So I think of your Holiday Worlds. I'm trying to think of some other family owned parks, like that's the only one that really sticks out to me as a family owned park. But some of those family owned parks typically are more family friendly, family oriented parks. Chain wise, this one's definitely a Christian friendly park, or chain, is the Hersham Park. So your Silver Dollar City, Dollywood, Wild Adventures, and even some of those minor attractions such as the Newport Aquarium, uh, even Kentucky Kingdom, which that's slowly becoming a Hershey Park. We'll see how it is in October when we go back for the meetup. But last year was kind of like, oh, this isn't quite a Hershey standard park yet, but it has potential. I believe it will eventually get to the standards of Silver Dollar City and Dollywood. But as we talked about in the episode at the beginning of the season with Sawyer from Silver Dollar City, the base and the foundation of these Hershey parks is core biblical values. And so I will say yes, there are some parks that are more Christian friendly than others because in the month of June, there are some parks that are promoting uh, sin more than others and making it known that they're promoting it. And I don't see that as a Christian based park. Um, some that come to mind are the Disney parks. Um, it's a shame to see where they've come over time. And it seems like I'm gaslighting them, but I'm just calling it as it is. Disney used to be a nice, wholesome, family fun park where you didn't have to worry about anything political other than the Hall of Presidents, which that really wasn't even political. It's just showing who our country's leaders were and just the history of our country. It's like now it's like you're being thrown things in your face, and not only your face, but your kid's face. It's like that's not very Christian family friendly. No one asked for that. Nobody did, except the pocketbooks and the wallets. Um, Other parks, and I'm scared to death about this. Not really scared, but it's like I'm very concerned about this. Is Six Flags? Um, I'm not pointing anything out particular, other than in the month of June, they tend to glorify some sin. What the Bible says is sin, they glorify. And I haven't been to a Six Flags park, but what I've seen through social media, their website, and what I've heard from people, they do promote it. Um, and I'm afraid for the current Cedar Fair parks, which they, I'll say this, Cedar Fair, you can kind of see it slip through the cracks here and there, but it's not to where it's all up in your face like Disney. So, long answer short, yes, I think there are some family friendly, Christian friendly parks more than others. I think there's a good amount of them that keep good, wholesome family values and Christian values in them. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. um, what are your hobbies? Some of my hobbies, concerts, as I mentioned, we like to go to concerts and things like that. Obviously, parks. We wouldn't have Run for Life Mysteries if I didn't have some inkling of love and passion for the parks. Ultimately, it was the Lord's leading there, but God gave me a passion and desire for the theme park entertainment coaster community, and that way we were able to reach them through Riding for Life Mysteries. So those, I do graphic design. Not necessarily my job anymore, but I do some freelance here and there, just as like a side job. Um, I do collect board games and things like that, so I like to play games every now and then. Uh, I love movies. I love concerts, as I said, and I do love musical theater. Um, I love me a good show, and again, ones that are not pushing agendas in your face. So coming up, fun fact here, we're going back up to Sandusky for another trip to Cedar Point. And while we're up there, we're going to do a few things. We're going to go see a lighthouse up there, but we're also going to Cleveland, which is like an hour or so away from Sandusky, to go see Back to the Future, the musical. As you know, Back to the Future, as I said at the beginning, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. And the fact it's a musical now, it's like, we have to go see this. So thankfully they're doing the tour now, and its first stop is Cleveland. So we're like, we have to go get tickets to see this. So we're going to go see Back to the Future, the musical, at the end of this month. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then obviously serving in our church and things like that too. I wouldn't consider that a hobby. It's more of a service to the Lord, but I guess you could, but just depending how you look at it. But yeah, it's a good question there as well. All these are really good questions. I'll say that instead of saying it for each one. This is a good question. That's a good question. But all these were really good questions. So thank you for submitting those, and just keep sending them in for whenever we do Q&As and things like that. It's a lot of fun just to share some of these things I enjoy with you all. So you get to know me a little bit more, and hopefully eventually get to know you all as well. Next question. This is one I maybe, wink wink, highlighting next season. This is something I've been working on. I've hinted at it before on the podcast in previous seasons, but this is something I want to dive into a little bit more next season. It's, if you could create a ride with a Bible theme, what would it be? Like I said, I don't want to give too much away right now, but it's something I want to cover next season, Lord willing. Which, if you are a digital artist, so if you create like digital art, whatever, can actually draw, unlike me, I need your help with this. I'm trying to create some concept art for a Bible-based park. One of the concepts I'm going to go ahead and share with you right now. I got a few other in mind on paper, or not paper, but digitally. I just need help making some concept art of a map of this park. But one of the attractions in this Bible theme park, I love a good dark ride. And one of my favorite dark rides is the Transformers and Spider-Man over at Universal Orlando. And I just love, I'm not too big of the screens. I love practical animatronics and things like practical sets and things like that. So one of the attractions I have is a dark ride called the Hall of Faith. So I will go in more in depth on this thought in that episode next season. But as a flyover, kind of get an idea of what this park may be like in this attraction. So the Hall of Faith, you are in a land. I'm trying to not give too many details. I should have wrote this down very non-descriptive. But so one of the lands at this park is going to be dedicated to the heroes of the faith. So you go into a museum type setting. And in the lobby there, it has all these statues for all these heroes of the faith. Like your Davids, your Noahs, Moses, Abraham, all those guys. They all have statues. And a pre-show goes on. And they take you back in time. And you go through different scenes that highlight each of these heroes of the faith. So a dark ride based on the heroes of the faith, Hebrews chapter 11, bringing that to life is an attraction I would love to have. And a name is to be determined when I bring this episode up. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun. It's been a lot of fun conceptualizing this. This has been something I've been thinking about for quite a while now. So a dark ride themed around the heroes of the faith is, if I could make an attraction, that's what it would be. Next question. Who is your dream guest for the podcast? This is a hard one. I have a whole list of people I want on the podcast. And honestly, who we've had over this past season and the season before, some people I've wanted to have. I think season 3 knocked out a lot of people that I've been dreaming of having. For instance, I wanted to have Alan Green on for the longest time. Ever since I found his channel back when we did the whole Islanders thing, uh, the Lord just connected the pieces there recently to where I got to know him a little bit more, build that friendship, and bring him on. That was such a fun episode. If you haven't heard it, go back. It is episode 3, I believe. It's Coasters and Creation, I think is the name of the episode. Let me look real quick because that's going to drive me insane. But Alan Green was one that I've been wanting for a very long time um, to come on the podcast, and praise the Lord. Just the Lord built that friendship and connection there. It was episode 3. I was right. Yes. Um, It's episode 3, Creation and Coasters, featuring Alan Green, the senior design director of Answers in Genesis. So check that out. Alan Green was one. Sir Willow was another one that I've been wanting for a very long time. I love his channel, just the fact that he had so many stories. He was a former pastor um, and just has a focus to make Christ known to those around him. So Sir Willow was one that I've been wanting for a while. I'm trying to look back at the season. Who else was kind of like a guest that I've been kind of like reaching after? I've been wanting a park, so having Kings Island and Silver Dollar City on here was just so much fun to talk to them. Sawyer and Elizabeth, it's so much fun having them on the podcast. Trying to think, there are some that are coming on in season 4. So there's quite a bit that are coming on season 4 that have been like someone I've been wanting to get on this podcast. So praise the Lord, things have aligned and we're able to get them. As far as booking one of those like bucket list guests, we're still trying to work on that. But I am so excited, everybody. You all are going to love season 4. I said that about season. It's going to be epic. We're going to kick off the season with a special guest, and then uh, stay tuned next week. I'll give you more details. Come back next week. That's going to be your cliffhanger. But if I could have a bucket list guest that is not in season 4, that I have not booked or contacted yet, uh, there are 2 in particular. Actually, 3. There are 3 people that I want on the podcast. Is Joseph Habedank. I mentioned him earlier in the episode. I really want him on here because his testimony is amazing. He loves Disney parks, um, and he's just an awesome guy. Amazing music. He's one I'd like to have on. Uh, Butch Hartman. He's the creator of The Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, all those shows. He's a believer as well, and he has a Christian kids cartoon series that I would like to highlight. He's another bucket list guest. And then the Keffer twins, Liam and Cade. If you have seen Off the Rails, and if you plan to see, or if you're going to see Trailblazers Extreme at Kings Island, they are twin boys um, who uh, have like a passion and a hobby almost. I don't know if it's a job or whatnot, but they do extreme sports. They do scootering, and scootering's their main specialty. But their family's solid believers, and their brother Finley, he is a videographer, kind of does some of their stuff. He does scootering as well. And their sister McLaren, she is starting to do Christian music. So I'd love to have them on the podcast. Um, the Lord's just been working in their family through valleys and mountaintops lately, and I'd love to have them on just to share their testimony of what God's been doing in their life. So those 3 are, or technically 4, people are some guests that I just want as some bucket list people to eventually get on here. But there, like I said, there are some guests in season 4 that I am so excited for you all to hear. So cliffhanger for that. Stay tuned next week. So the podcast. What would you like to see as Disney's 5th gate? What would you like to see at Disney's 5th gate? So if you don't know, news kind of broke recently that Disney and Florida have finally made ends, which staying out of that. But along those lines, the possibility of a fifth gate coming is very likely. When that is, who knows? They can't even open. Like, I'm not going there. But the possibilities of a fifth gate coming are very high. And of course, they're trying to combat Epic Universe, all that. If they made a fifth park, some of the things I would like to see, unless they add these to the current parks, which would leave them with absolutely nothing for this new park, but I would like to see a Lion King area. Uh, I'd like to see Lion King brought as a land. What else would I like to see? I got Toy Story. They're technically doing Indiana Jones at Animal Kingdom. It's like, Disney, what are you doing? I don't know. I don't really know what I would want to see at a fifth gate. I don't know because they keep. I don't know, and they don't do anything original anymore. So, yeah. So I don't. I don't have an answer. I'm sorry to whoever submitted that question. I didn't even put who submitted these. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. Okay. How soon will you be back to more video content to the pod? Or, I'm sorry, like I said, I'm still tired. I'm trying to read these. How soon will you bring back more video content to the pod? We talked about it. We talked about um, video content coming. That's on a hold, just for different reasons. So there are some projects I want to get done, but I don't know if or when they will get done. Uh, because right now it's just me with ROYL. Just praying for Lord to send someone if he sees fit to bring someone alongside for the meantime. There's one person that we might be bringing on eventually, but yeah. So right now my plate is full with the podcast, making social media content and things like that. So we'll see if videos come. Next season on the podcast itself, there may be one or two guests that we'll make a video version of. One guest, I'll go ahead and tell you one of the guests because he's a returning guest. So Zach Glaros from Sir Henry's Haunted Trail is coming back. We may do some visuals with that. Last year we just had some technical issues that we couldn't pull it off, but this year we might be able to do it. So we'll see about that. And our other guest, it's a very unique guest. It's not like any other guest we've had on the podcast, so this may be a video, depending on how it goes. So stay tuned for that. So you might see some video versions of the podcast. The reason I don't do a video version currently is just it takes a lot of time to edit the audio. I want to make the audio the best it can be. And on top of that, you would have to edit the video to make sure it syncs up, it's right audio, or like levels, and just make sure it looks presentable and good and clean. And just we want to make the podcast the best it can be. So right now, we're not really focusing on video. That may be something for the future. We'll see if the Lord allows and if we get the right people in place for it. But no plans for video at this point. So, yeah. The next one is favorite theme park food. I kind of covered this earlier, but my favorite food item at a theme park. Ooh, this is a hard one. Oh, it's a side item, but I love the potato salad at Pigpen's Mess Hall at Kings Island. That's the first thing that came to mind when I thought of food. It's like, that potato salad is so good. I do love the buffalo chicken fresh cut fries at Kings Island. Those are good too. What else is good? I love the pub burger and the chicken this summer at Kings Island as well. And as you can tell, I'm just listing off that because this has been our meal a lot lately, is the meal plan at Kings Island. So favorite food, favorite side, potato salad, favorite little don't know how you'd classify it, but the buffalo chicken, fresh cut fries, and then the chicken tenders and pub burger at Kings Island as well are phenomenal. Uh, Theme park you're already anticipating to visit. You're really anticipating to visit. I kind of covered that already with the top five. Go back and listen to that for that answer. But thank you for that question. Any godly advice you've heard lately? Uh, well, honestly, one of the things that God is teaching me lately, this is kind of going along with a question that was submitted by another person. It's don't stop praying. One of the things God's teaching me is to be patient and to trust Him. So don't stop praying and just rely upon the Lord because God's going to do it. Only God can do. Uh, just some things going on in life that you just need to give it to God. So that's one of the things is just rely upon Him. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to that understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him and He shall direct thy path. So trusting in God, putting your full faith and confidence in Him, and pray, seek His face, and let Him do the rest. It's something the Lord's just been teaching me and convicting me of lately. So there's that one. What good do you think Six Flags will bring to the merger? So the merger is supposed to be happening very soon. What they're bringing to the parks, what they're bringing to Cedar Fair, they may be able to help our Halloween event. I don't know, but it seems like theirs is better than ours. They might be able to switch things up finally. I don't know. But one of the things I thought of just now for Kings Island specifically is they might be able to fix up Action Zone. As we've talked about before numerous times on the podcast, Action Zone is a mess at Kings Island. It doesn't know what it is. It's playing Dolly Parton, and it looks like a parking lot. Let's be honest, like a concrete slab with Dolly Parton and Banshee, and just the mix of just it's hodgepodge. It's like it's there, which sadly it's the first thing you see when you come into the park if you go left. But I think Six Flags will bring the DC characters to the area. We'll see a retheme of it. Sadly, I will miss seeing Banshee as Banshee, but I think having a complete overhaul and retheme of that area will be much needed. I think that's one of the things that Six Flags can bring to these parks is the theming and get us to where we need to be with Cedar Fair and its theming. Kings Island's been doing good. They haven't been going all the way through with their promises and concept art, but they've been doing good with what they've got. So I think that'll be a plus of Six Flags. As far as other things, I think they are going to. It's so negative. I think it's not going to be a good merger. I don't think it's going to be good. I really don't. The fact that Six Flags is almost a slur and almost an offensive term when it comes to theme parks. When something's not going right, we say, "Oh, that's so Six Flags." I'm not gonna like hearing that for some of these parks that we love. No, I'm not a fan of it, but we'll see how it goes. Give it the benefit of a doubt. All right, the next one here is favorite car on Snoopy Soapbox Racers. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. I need to refer to a picture of the car layout. I need to remind myself which cars there are. I think they're all very well themed. I'll tell you that. They are all very well themed. But my favorite, let's see here. I got a little video from the vlog I did over on Epic Destination. So we have Snoopy, Marcy, Peppermint Patty, Woodstock, Linus, Sally, Pigpen, Lucy, Schroeder, and Charles, Chuck, Charlie Brown. Of those, they're all so nice. They're very well crafted. I will say it's probably a three-way tie between Linus, Schroeder, and Charlie Brown. I like those three. If I had to pick one of the three, I do like Charlie Brown's, but I like Linus. I don't know. Probably Charlie Brown. Gotta love Charlie Brown, but I love Linus for the fact that he has the blanket hanging off the side of it. I love Schroeder because it's a piano. I love music. Schroeder's one of my favorite Peanuts characters. So those three, if I had to pick just one, I think just classic Charlie Brown. It's got the yellow shirt with the black squiggles on it. So probably Charlie Brown. Good question. All these are good questions. What's your favorite episode so far of the Ride of Your Life podcast? Oh, I was going to do this next week, talk about my top episodes, but I'm going to go ahead and give you my top 5. I know we already did top 5s, but it's like choosing a favorite child. It was so hard. But if I had to pick 5 episodes you need to go back and listen to, where is it? Top 5 ROYL podcast episodes. Let me do this. Let me go ahead and pull up so I can. I just wrote down the episode number, but I don't remember what the episode was. And there's a reason why I had them in the order I had them in. So, Ride of Your Life podcast over on Spotify. Shameless plug there. So, number 1 is episode 3 of season 3, which again, that is Alan's podcast episode. That was a lot of fun because he was one of my bucket list guests to have on the podcast. So Alan Green's probably my absolute favorite episode so far. Number 2 was my good friend John Angler. It's episode 16, season 3. So it's Finding Fulfillment and Contentment in a Crazy World. That was a lot of fun and just a encouraging episode from John. Definitely check that one out. Season 3, episode 14 was King's Island. So having Elizabeth on here was a lot of fun. Season 3, episode 8, that was Sir Willow, Tales from a Theme Park Employee and Pastor. So that was a fun one. Episode 7 of the season was Christ, Caves, and Coasters at Silver Dollar City with Sawyer Nichols. That was a fun one. Episode 4, which was the Holy Land Experience. It's just fun researching that one and telling you all my experience and things like that and learning about the Holy Land Experience and things I didn't know. That was a good episode. Episode 1 of the season with the Scally Brothers. I love that one. Hope is Right on Time. Good episode there. Season 2, episode 15 with Looking to the Finish Line. The episode with Ryan. It was a good one. And just looking to Christ in a crazy world. Next, episode 12 was Debunking the Lies of the Enemy. That was a good one. Episode 8 of season 2. That was Where Art Meets Faith at Sir Henry's Haunted Trail. That was a really fun one. And it's so fun I'm bringing Zach back to talk about this next season of Sir Henry. Then episode 7 of season 2, Letter to This Generation. All of the episodes have been fun, but those are my top 10 episodes you need to go back and listen to. I will actually leave those recommendations below in the show notes, so you can go back and check those episodes out as well. And as we come to a close of our Q&A here, again, thank you to all those who submitted questions. We're going to end with these 4 questions. Actually, these last 3 questions, I kind of answered one of them already, but worst theme park experience. I would have to say that was SeaWorld Orlando. The reason being is just, it was just not a good experience. The coasters were not good at all. Icebreaker was honestly my favorite coaster there, if that says anything. Just the workers there were just rude, just not helpful at all. There was no signage at all pointing you to where things are, so we were just wandering around. The food was not good. It was not a good experience. Uh, so that would probably have to be the worst one. That's the first one that comes to mind when I think of a bad theme park experience. It's everything wrong with a park. It happened. So that was my worst theme park experience. My favorite season, I guess, I don't know if it's like fall, summer, winter, spring, but my favorite summer is the season where you get to go to theme parks. I like all the seasons except for winter. I hate winter. I just hate the cold. I hate snow. Uh, if I had to pick a single season, I would say my favorite season is uh, probably fall. I like fall, just the beauty of fall and the fact parks are still open. Not a fan of the Halloween events, but parks are still open. You can ride coasters, and it's not blazing heat out. And spring, I don't. I like spring, but I just don't like the weather that comes with spring. It's uncertain, and if you're living in Ohio, you never know what you're going to get in spring. This past year, we had like a bunch of weird weather, tornado warnings, and actually, where I lived, there's almost a touchdown of a tornado. So, praise the Lord that passed by, but summer, it's just too hot. So fall's just perfect. It's beautiful. It's all that good stuff. So I'd say fall's my favorite season. And then to wrap it up, beach or mountains? Definitely the mountains. I love the mountains. It's always different when you go to the mountains because along with the seasons, it always looks different. You never get the same experience when you go to the mountains. With the beach, it's good to go every few years. I just don't. I don't see why people love the beach so much. It's the same thing every time you go. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it's just relaxing, but it's the same. But when you go to the mountains, when I think of Tennessee is one of my favorite places to visit. I just love the beauty of it. The mountains just bring out the beauty of God and just His majesty, His creativeness is just His artistry comes in full display in the mountains. It's just beautiful. I love it. And not saying that the beach isn't. Like on the beach, I love a good sunrise, a good sunset. It's just beautiful there. But the mountains, you get that plus just the trees, the animals, everything about the mountains is just so beautiful. I love it for the sake of just seeing God's handiwork and His creation just right in front of you. It's when you think of a nice painting, it's usually the mountains, just for that beauty. So I love the mountains. Again, thank you everyone for submitting your questions to this week's episode. It was a lot of fun to answer those. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. And like I said, I want to eventually do something where I get to know you all and just see what are some of your favorite things. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. But as far as announcements, just check out the RideOfYourLifeShop.com. Merch is there. Tune in next week to the season finale of season 3 of the Ride of Your Life podcast. We're going to be picking up in August for season 4, and the uh, first day of season or episode 1 of season 4 launches on Monday, August 5th. So go ahead and mark your calendars for that. Set a notification because it's going to be a fun season, like I said. We got some awesome guests lined up. We'll talk about that and just the direction I believe the Lord is taking us is just, it's going to be awesome. So you don't want to miss that. Our next meetup, and we'll talk about this next season as we get closer to it, but we'll be going to Kentucky Kingdom on Saturday, Saturday, October 12th. And more details to come on that. But we're just excited for what's ahead for Ride of Your Life Ministries. And as always, you can stay connected with us and find the latest news on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, YouTube. You can listen to the podcast on there and Lord willing, in the future we might have video content. We don't know. See. But, yeah. As always, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Rive Your Life podcast. Hope it's a blessing, help, and encouragement to you. And we will see you next week for our Season 3 finale here on the Rive Your Life podcast. Peace! Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Rive Your Life podcast. We hope it's a blessing, help, and encouragement to you. You can connect with us here at Rive Your Life Ministries on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Rive Your Life Ministries. You can also find us on X at ROYL Ministries, and that's ROYL without the A. You can find us on our website at riveyourlifeministries.com, and you can text us at the ROYL Hotline at 513-285-8319. And again, that is 513-285-8319. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast streaming platform, and also leave a review so that the word gets out to those who need to hear it. We hope you all have a great week, and we will see you next Monday. God bless.